today. It's an episode of What Ifs. What if everything Conor McGregor is doing works out for him in his next fight? What if Dustin Poirier shocks the world and defeats Islam Makhachev? And also, what if Paulo Costa goes out there and waxes Sean Strickland? We will ponder all three of these and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it. We right back with it. It's your boy Matt. We get ready to go ahead and get off into these Matter of Fact MMA what ifs. So here's the deal. Today's three topics are three things that almost everyone is certain that they know how it's going to play out, right? With that being said, I'm just going to ponder the what if. What if it goes the opposite route, okay? So let's start out with the most pressing, given it's the main event of this weekend's pay-per-view, UFC 302. What if Dustin Poirier goes out and defeats Islam Makhachev for the lightweight championship of the world? So, I mean, pretty much everyone is picking Islam Makhachev to go out there and defeat Dustin Poirier. Dustin's already talked about this is probably going to be his last fight. If he loses it, there's a good chance it could be his last fight if he wins. But it's a matter of everyone pretty much has this fight picked. Everyone pretty much, I've seen things, he's going to get submitted in the first round. I've seen the second round. I've seen it could go to the third as something is in my nose. Nevertheless, I've seen a lot of variations of this fight. But what I'm pondering is, what if Dustin Poirier wins? What if he goes out there and he defeats Islam Makhachev? What's next for him? So let's assume that let's first say if he goes out there and defeats Islam Makhachev, 9 times out of 10, it's going to have to be due to stoppage. And it's going to come by these, mano y mano, these hands, you know what I'm talking about? Which in a fight with Islam Makhachev is Dustin Poirier's best option. Is to go out there and stop him on the feet, you know what I'm saying? Stop him via KO or TKO, via stoppage. So either he's going to catch him and he's going to drop him and get on top of him and finish him off, or he's going to catch him and he's going to one-shot knock him out, right? Yeah, it's very far-fetched, but that's why it's on this episode. So I'm saying, if that happens, what does Dustin Poirier do then? So let's look at this. There's the most boring of these options, is that he goes ahead, he wins the championship, he lays the gloves down the octagon, which would be a historic moment, a historic career milestone. You know what I mean? We're talking about a guy that there's very few people that dislike Dustin. You know what I'm talking? We're talking about the Diamond. You know what I'm saying? Very few people. If you remember back when he fought Max Holloway for, at that point, it was the interim lightweight championship. And the speech that he gave after he beat Max Holloway. And he talked about that essentially he had 25 minutes to make life fair. You know what I'm talking about? Like, the man was talking about all of his ups, all of his downs, everything he had went through, all culminated in 25 minutes to make life fair. Essentially, he had 25 minutes to put himself in the same space of his boss, Dana White, of Lorenzo Fertitta, of multiple people in his eyes. We all know how it ended up playing out. But in his eyes, it was a chance to give him, to pay him what he felt like he had deserved all along. Amazing, bro. Amazing. That's part of what began to endear Dustin Poirier to everyone. He had the rise to that moment. He had the stumble against Khabib. He had the comebacks. He had the fights against guys like Dan Hooker. You know what I'm talking about? He had the fight against Michael Chandler where he went out and did his thing. He had the stumble against Justin Gaethje. He had the stumble against Charlie Olives. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, Dustin keeps coming back, and that's why he's won the people over. He's a family man. He doesn't do a lot of flashy things. He doesn't do a lot of terrible trash talking like Conor McGregor might do or anybody like that. He's just an all around good dude. So, with that being said, it would be historic if he wins the championship, then puts the gloves down the ring and walks away and calls it a career. Would be an amazing feat. With that being said, let's get into the chaos. What if he goes out there and he wins the championship from Islam Makhachev, and after that, the UFC signs, only if he beats Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor for the 155-pound championship? I know what you're thinking, but Matt, Conor's fighting at 170. But Matt, he's got to beat Michael Chandler first. But Matt, what about Sarukian and all the other guys in line? Nuh-uh. What we talking about is Conor mother effing McGregor. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm not a fan of the guy, but that's what we talking about money-wise. And at the end of the day, as I've spoken about in previous videos, part of the issue with getting fights with Conor right now is Conor only has so many fights left on his contract, and the UFC is trying to squeeze him dry for every drop they can get out of him, pay-per-view wise and publicity wise. Which is why you see him going there with Michael Chandler. If he goes in there and defeats Michael Chandler, big deal. UFC's already made plenty of money off Michael Chandler. He goes in there, he beats Michael Chandler. That's great for Conor McGregor. He moves on. But he goes in there, he loses to Michael Chandler. Still kind of, that's good for the UFC in a sense, because Conor, they can ice him. I think he's got like 2 fights left on his deal after that. They can ice him another year or two and just milk him dry to keep him from going to sign with another organization or go over to boxing. So right now, one of those fights after he beats Chandler, assuming he wins, could be against Dustin. And then he's only got 1 fight left on his deal, and they can ice him again if he doesn't sign a new contract. But that would be a tremendous, a huge fight for the casuals, for the mamas. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the time, a big fight test is, does your mama know who's fighting this weekend? You know what I'm saying? Does she know? If she's aware I heard that little guy, what is he, the Irish guy, Conor, he's fighting, right? If you get that back, then you know you're dealing with a star, right? Dustin's already beat the man like 2 times, bro. You know what I'm saying? I can't even remember how many times he's beat him. He's beat him so many times. He could go out there and do it another time. You know what I'm saying? He could do it a 3rd time. And the UFC, I think, would probably go for that. Gets Dustin another huge payday, gets Conor a big check. That's primarily my what if. Because if Dustin wins, they're not going to do a rematch with Gaethje. Gaethje's got to bounce back. They could do him versus Sarukian, but I would definitely favor Sarukian in that instance. That's just a what if. Like, what if this man goes out there, defeats Islam Makhachev, and what if the UFC is like, hey, yo, Dustin, we could have you fight Sarukian. Yeah, maybe we could trot you out there, in a rematch against whoever. Maybe we could put you in there with Mateus Gamrot. Whoever, I don't even know. But what about if we put you in the cage with Conor McGregor? For the 4th fight, could be 3 fights in a row that you beat him in for a whole bag of money. We'll back up a truck to your crib. Whole truckload of money. What do you say? Bro, keep an eye on that. Let's shift gears. Let's move over to, since we were talking about Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor made a lot of headlines last week because he was spotted out in the club. We don't really know if he was under the influence or if he was under the influence, but he looked to be having a good time. He was dancing with his wife. She's licking his chest. They partying it up, and he's like 5 weeks out from his fight with Michael Chandler. Everyone is going off about this. A lot of people have issues with this. My question is what if this is what Conor McGregor needs to go out there and do Conor McGregor things, right? I would say this. When Conor was a madman, when Conor was a wild man, You know what I'm saying? Early on when he first came into money, pre Floyd Mayweather, right? He was already getting to the bag before Floyd. Floyd just gave him the bag, you know what I'm saying? With that being said, the crazy Conor, that we kind of had an idea that he might be the king of snow, that he might be dibbling, dabbling, or maybe a little bit too much in spirits and refreshments, so to speak. But he was a madman. He's going out there and he's icing people that we felt like he shouldn't be beating. The Jose Aldos of the world. He's going out there, he's defeating the Eddie Alvarez's of the world. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, when he got when he really got into the money and everything, and, you know, he had a few falters, and we know that he's partying it up. It seems like part of his problem that I've seen in his comeback against Dustin was he's toning himself down. He's probably off the party favors, probably off the drink, and he's not trash talking. He's not being the madman. You know what I'm saying? He's a family man. He's trying to be nice, and it's not translating, right? It didn't work out for him. Then he comes back, and now he's got a little bit more of an edge. He's got a little bit more of that grit to him. He's trash talking again, but it's a little bit overboard. It's a little bit, you know, it's not quite maniacal. It's almost kind of comical. Like, you're kind of wondering, Conor, are you trying to make up for what happened the last time? But this ain't necessarily who you was before the Floyd fight. You know what I'm saying? This is not the same type of maniacal, so if you will. So with that being said, what if he just needs to lean into partying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would also say, think about this. John Jones was one of the greatest fighters we had ever seen in the world, and was going out there and beating guys in a way that we hadn't seen in the earlier days of mixed martial arts, right? Dominated in a way that we just hadn't seen. But at that point in time, John Jones was the king of snow. He was the king of snow. He was the king of hookers. He was the king of deep hills. He was the king of a lot of wild-ish. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, as John Jones kept getting in trouble, while he's still doing probably a lot of those things, if not all, you have to admit, he toned it down a little bit on that side of the game. He might be going out here still getting in car wrecks and busting guns in the middle of the night and all of that stuff, but he didn't quite seem to be as wild in his exchanges in the octagon. Somewhere along the way, he's still partying, he's still being a madman, but I believe he toned it down. And even Joe Rogan has talked about this on some of his episodes where he brings up John Jones. It's almost like he needs to be that madman, that wild man, to go out there and do what he needs to do in the octagon. That just might be his style. He might not be a GSP kind of guy who can just lock in, zone in, and just watch, count calories, watch carbs, do everything. We got the game plan. We got John Donaher here. He's going over everything. We're chilling with Faraz Zahabi. He's telling me other game plans. Maybe that's just not that dude's style. So I pose the question, you know, what if Conor takes more of a Ryan Garcia approach and does whatever he wants leading up to the fight and just rolls the dice and see how it goes, you know what I'm saying? He's already got paper. You know, either way, win, lose, or draw, he's still locked up against the UFC. He can't go nowhere. He can't promote his own fight. Excuse me. He can't do boxing or anything like that. So it's like, what is he going to do, bro? In my opinion, if I was D-Devlin, I'd pass him all the party favors. Just keep it outside of whatever date he's going to get tested again. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this wild, maniacal Conor. You know what I'm saying? Act like he ain't got kids for a little while. You know what I'm talking about? Like, we want that old, maniacal, pre-Conor Jr. Conor. You know what I'm saying? I'm still not a fan of him, but I wouldn't mind seeing that crazy Irishman from back in the day. You know what I'm talking about. Finally, let's move on to another one. The co-main event of UFC 302, we will see former middleweight champion Sean Strickland step in the octagon with Paulo Costa. Now, from what I've seen, most everyone, while it's not out of the realm that Paulo Costa could win, most everybody is picking Sean Strickland to win. So this is not a huge what if for a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all probably don't even really care about Paulo Costa. But I'm posing a fight here, and I think the hardcores will kind of understand where I'm going. Bro, what if Paulo Costa goes out there and just body kick to the liver Sean Strickland? Just body kick livers him. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom, boom. Liver shut down. He drops. Or he delivers some of those devastating body shots. Because Paulo's got some amazing body work. The way he just digs them in. You know what I'm talking about? So what if he catches him with a big hook to the body? You know what I'm saying? Drops him. Hits him right in the liver. Drops him in, right? So peep this. Cuts a good promo. You know what I'm saying? He's always in the media. He's always doing his thing. I know it's so far-fetched because Izzy's got the next shot and you could pick other people as well. But, bro, what if Paulo goes out there and styles on Sean Strickland, beats him quickly in magnificent form, and the UFC book Paulo Costa versus Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight championship? Now, you can't tell me that wouldn't be a banger. You know what I'm talking about? A banger. Let me say it again. A banger. You know what I mean? Bro, we talking about Dricus and Paulo going out there mano-a-mano, trading shots. While Dricus would be willing to take the fight to the ground, has tremendous ground and pound, Paulo is, he sometimes can concede on the ground and not try to get up, but every fight starts on the feet. And Paulo has a pretty good chin. He weathers a lot of punishment. So 9 times out of 10, he can make it to the next round and starts back on the feet. And him and Dricus du Plessis clashing time and time again in a 5-round championship fight. I think that would be just poetic violence. You know what I'm saying? That would be a that would be a magnum opus of violence. You know what I'm saying? And I'm all here for it. So if it is possible, I mean, I definitely like to see Dricus go in there and whoop up on Izzy. I ain't gonna lie. But if that just means Paulo's waiting in the wings to after that fight, I don't want him to fight Izzy. I ain't trying to get that fight. But if Dricus goes out there and defeats Izzy, if that's the next fight, and Paulo is beating Sean Strickland, man, put them in the cage together. Let's have some fun. You know what I'm talking about? Let's lock them in the cage. Let's have some fun. Let me know. You know what I'm saying? I might be out on an island here, but let me know what you think about Paulo Costa versus Dricus du Plessis. I'm so excited, I can't say his name. And let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. We know the fight, probably a million things would have to go wrong for this fight to ever happen. But let's just pretend like it did. Don't you want to see these two go at it? You know what I'm talking about? Nevertheless, man, I just wanted to drop in with you guys, see what was going down, pose a few little questions to you, you know what I'm saying? It's going down this Saturday night, UFC 302. We got Dustin Poirier in the main event as he challenges Islam Makhachev for the lightweight championship of the world, and the co-main event, Paulo Costa versus Sean Strickland. And following month, we have Conor McGregor stepping in there with Michael Chandler. So, nevertheless, man, I appreciate you guys for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I check you next time. Peace.